Bauke, well, which is a bit. Well, maybe Janto Bauke has got a double life as Marek Rudkiewicz, but there we are.
Still good to back in Soleil rider and the Katusha rider just in between at the moment, probably about 15 seconds down.
Of whom we know nothing at the moment as to who they are that are following. Race radio not saying, and we've not seen any shots of them either. Moto 1 concentrating on this man here, Marek Rudkiewicz. You've got to watch yourself around him. There's some of this descent there is just decidedly dodgy, especially if it's going to rain a lot.
Just looking at the head of that bunch there on that descent, I don't know if hopefully we'll see them when we come off onto the main road here, but it looked to me as if Lampre had come up to the front, so they must be thinking of Gregor Bolle.
Rudkiewicz still on his way. He's worried about how much distance he's got.
He's waiting, he's just about to be caught now.
Yep. Two men coming across, remember, and he thinks he's going to do better with them than without them. Well, here they are. And the bunch is not that far behind either, so this is the last-ditch attempt by Rudkiewicz to keep going with two men coming across.
Gusev.
Vladimir Gusev is the rider from Katusha. And the rider from Vacon Soleil is one of the taller riders. Here comes the bunch. Well, good ride by Rudkiewicz, but clearly, at the moment, not being able to pull out enough. He's got two men with him now. He's playing the final throw of the dice to try and get himself in with two other strong riders and pull on a bit. 4 kilometers to go. It's Mercato once again. Well, he must be up for another finish. At least he knows this time he can't get it wrong. Vladimir Gusev at the back for Katusha in the blue and the white. In the blue and yellow for Vacon Soleil is Marco Mercato. And then Marek Rudkiewicz coming straight past is Azan Basayev. Hasan Basayev is the best placed man for Astana. He's 13th overall, 45 seconds down. What a ride by Basayev.
Well, he rode well yesterday in the final climb, and another person that can sprint when we get to the top of this climb. So for me, they've eased a wee bit looking back. They have to keep on going, but for me now it's down to Dan, and he's only going to get so much help from Mark Wilson and Tom Danielson, so we might have to see the yellow jersey a wee bit later on taking it up, and it does look as if it's Lampre at the front of the bunch.
Well, it doesn't, yeah, it is Lampre doing the work at the front here. It doesn't...
Mercado's just had to go on the left-hand side for Radio Shack, trying to go
Thierry
across.
Mercado, another man we mentioned as being a good finisher today, and now Lampre pulling on. It's all down to the men from Garmin Transitions to control this,
yes.
And I think Tom Danielson doesn't have the legs anymore. That's it, finish. It's down to the man in the yellow jersey to ride for his own future here, and Gregor Bolle is right behind him from Lampre.
Yeah, we thought actually this might happen, that he might be on his own, but he's in his element. We're on a climb, and you know, that's what he's shown that he's best at. So Dan just doesn't have to panic, and he just has to kind of ride this down. But the danger is the sprint at the finish. This is okay at the moment. He can let these four riders, if they finish first, second and third, then that's good for him. They just have to watch that Berlan and Gregor Bolle doesn't take any bonuses at the finish.
Well, that's the point. It's not keep taking the bonuses, isn't it? They're not allowed. Is that Perraud coming across?
Perraud, yes.
Yep. Jean-Christophe Perraud, the ex-mountain biker, 32 years of age now. Got a silver medal in Beijing in the mountain bikes. He was last year's time trial champion, French time trial champion. But they've been ridden down here. Yeah,
Danielson now coming to the front now for Garmin Transitions and closing it all down. Dan just has to really watch here. Lampre, Gregor Bolle must be feeling okay, so that's why Lampre were at the front of the bunch. So they have to watch, because if he goes into the last stage, Dan's not the best of sprinters. If we go into the last stage and it's Mollema goes on the left-hand side.
Yeah, Bauke Mollema. Left-hand side, dangerous, 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 dangerous. Don't want to let him go, Dan. You don't want to let him go. Bauke Mollema only lying 29 seconds down and is a first-class climber. And looking strong. There's a little bit of tension and pressure here now for the riders from Garmin Transitions, because they really have to shut a man like this down.
Yeah, for me, just use Danielson up over the next kilometre, but when it gets near the top of this climb, I'm pretty sure that Dan maybe have to take this race with a scruff of the neck.
Yeah, I think he's going to have to. Bauke Mollema, man who's been touted as a real threat in the future. He rode a reasonable Giro d'Italia. He was up there on some of the bigger mountain stages. And seems to be going well, seems to be going strong. Well, we just need to see how far back it is now to the peloton. Come on, Bauke, you don't need to look behind you, you've got to go forwards. Just the one man left at the front of the chasing group. 4 Garmin Transitions are doing a fine job at the moment because this is a fairly difficult man to limit.
It's still okay if Dan just, you know, Bauke Mollema wins this stage, then he takes the 10 seconds bonus, and you know it's going to move him up a wee bit. But for me, Dan has to close this down and try and do something on the steeper part here, and not just wait for his team.
No, I agree.
So he has to. Maybe the shout will come very soon, and you'll see the yellow jersey shoot forward. He has to do what he did yesterday, because that's what got him into the yellow jersey to start with.
Yep, I don't think that you can let this man get away. It's certainly, I wouldn't be very keen firing Dan Martin's shoes to be letting Bauke Mollema get away. He's a very strong rider, and there's still a couple more days left in this Tour of Poland. He's giving it everything, Mollema. He's got 29 seconds to make up, plus he's got the bonuses as well. Just remind us of the bonuses.
10, 6 and 4 on the finishing line, and I wouldn't say that it would be Dan Martin's 40 sprinting towards the end. You can look just lining up behind him. You've got Greg Ball, and you know, he is a big threat. If he gets within 4 seconds of Dan Martin, that could be trouble. So for me, Dan maybe has to try and take some of these bonuses himself, and he's not going to do it in the sprint. So now is the time to try and do something. The yellow jersey has to come and grab this race if he wants it.
He's got to, because I think the control is slipping away here. Well, I think the control has been not so much slipping away, but not been around for quite a while. They controlled the race for a long time. It's now a case of just fighting for it. Bauke Mollema seems to be pulling away here. This is very dangerous for Daniel Martin. He's going to have to do something shortly. He's got about what, 20 seconds now, Mollema? Maybe 15.
Yeah, that's why he's pushing out, and you know, this is a kind of false flat here, and you can put it in the big ring and really push it a good advantage out, and danger time for Garmin Transitions. Big danger as
one of our riders from Case to Pan tries to get across. Now Martin uses that. Dan Martin uses that to chase. The rider from Radio Shack, I think, is Thiago Mercado. And Bauke Mollema won't realise that this is happening behind them as they rise up towards the finish, but they're beginning to sprint now. Under the 1 kilometre to go banner for Bauke Mollema. And here come the chasing peloton. The gap is about 6, 7, 8.
Well, he's doing it now.
Yeah, he's doing it now.
He's doing it now. He has to really go for it. But at the end of the day, it's okay if Bauke Mollema wins, because he takes the 10 seconds away. And that means that Greg Avola can only get the 6 seconds for second. But he has to limit the losses to Bauke Mollema, because he only wants to give him, try and close it down all the way to the finish, and maybe just give him 10 seconds.
I think it's still pretty dangerous to let Bauke Mollema take that much time, because he is a very strong rider. I mean, he could easily come better in this last 2 or 3 days in the Tour of Poland. Greg Avola, as you say, is the immediate threat, because he's lying right behind at 14 seconds, but Mollema's only 29 seconds down.
Yeah, and he's got 15 at the moment. He takes the 10 seconds bonus. He comes right up there. Going to be a danger time for certainly the yellow jersey of Dan Martin. Looks like Mollema's going to take this one, but they need to close it down. Balan's coming up as well, so this is going to be only a handful of seconds, so it's going to suit Dan Martin, and he's still going to be in yellow at the end of the day.
It's a fine ride by Bauke Mollema. He's pulled out a substantial gap over the favourites here. He was lying 29 seconds down on the overall classification, 6th spot today. We'll have to get the stopwatch on. He's pushing on because he knows he has a realistic chance of moving up onto the podium now, and really giving it everything. He's one of those riders who just grips the bars and turns the whole pedal stroke round. He's not one of the push down and let the pedal go through. He turns everything. Terrific ride by Bauke Mollema. He has to go off. He has to grab that handlebar very quickly indeed, and the gap is only, what, 5 or 6 seconds. Oh, Bowler goes down.
Bowler got third there, so...
Yeah, so he takes 4 seconds back on that. That was a very hard finish, very, very hard finish indeed for Bauke Mollema and the rest of them sprinting out to try and gain extra seconds and limit losses. But what racing, real old-style racing run. No,
it was good, excellent racing, and you know, to and fro a wee bit there, everybody willing to have a go. Yeah, quite surprised that Polen never had a go himself. He kind of waited to the last time up the climb there, but Bowley, he was just trying to try and win the stage and take the bonuses at the end. And Mollema was the rider that came out on top and really took the race by the scruff of the neck, and you know, did what he had to do. He'll move up into the GC at the moment, but that was you know, putting the finishing line straight on that corner is it really needs to be looked at. But great performance with this man here.
Well, they've done some interesting things at this Tour of Poland. I've got to say, it's been great racing though. He's ridden for Rabobank for the last 4 years, Bauke Mollema. And this year really is his best results. Top 5 in the Vuelta a Andalucía at the beginning of the year. And although he's been threatening, 11th in the Tour of Wallonie overall, so he's beginning to come into good shape once again. Got an 8th in one of the stages into Bormio, I think. Bormio to Passo Tonole. He got 8th in the Giro d'Italia. Whoops, had to grab that pretty quick, didn't he?
Yeah, looks like he might have slipped his way into third place now, as Sant'Ambrogio's leading out the sprint here.
Yep, Sant'Ambrogio for BMC, trying to come around Albacini and Bauke, and whoops, on the white line for Gregor Bole. And not a good placing for the finish line. Really very difficult indeed to stop yourself going down on that. Just need to touch those white lines. There we go. Whee! Bauke Mollema takes the win then. Ahead of Albacini.
7 seconds.
Gregor Bole and Mauro Sant'Ambrogio. 7 seconds was the gap. And then Thiago Macaro at 9 seconds. You'll see just after that, Daniel Martin has the same time as well. Chris Birch saying on the Twitter feed, silly place for a finishing line, isn't it? Yep. Spectacular, but not so great. You need a bit more runoff than that. There isn't even much runoff anyway, frankly. But the win goes to Bauke Mollema. Daniel Martin under pressure now. Well, the rain coming down hard now as the rest of the riders come up towards the finish line. Daniel Martin still leads the overall classification from Gregor Bole, but just by a mere 8 seconds. Bauke Mollema moves into third, as we were saying, Brian, into a podium place. He's 10 seconds down now. Albacini at 20, Alessandro Ballan at 21. Then Schmidt, who slips, didn't see anything of him today. Sant'Ambrogio is in 7th, moves up 2 spots. Marek Rutkiewicz moves down slightly, but keeps the same time gap on Daniel Martin. Well, another interesting stage here in the Tour of Poland. The weather closing in, but Daniel Martin, the Irishman, riding for Garmin Transitions. The team had to hang on to the jersey today. They worked very hard indeed, but then at the end, it's every man for himself. As always, he loses a few seconds on Gregor Bole, and a great ride by Bauke Mollema to come up to third in the overall classification and take a stage win. Daniel Martin in the yellow. From Brian and I, we'll see you tomorrow. Bye for now.